Before the Avengers, we had a floating high school, a guy who turned into a rock, and the most goated superhero comedy of the 2000s. Sky High didn't just parody the genre, it's a masterpiece. Spoilers ahead. We're going back to 2005 to see how the son of the world's greatest heroes ended up in the one place no one wants to be, Sidekick class. The story begins in a world where superheroes are a part of everyday life. We see Will Stronghold, a typical teenager who is about to start his first day of high school, a school for super-abled kids that floats in the sky. But Will isn't just any teenager. He is the son of the world's most famous superhero duo, the Commander, known for his super strength, and Jetstream, who possesses the power of flight and is extremely skilled in combat. Together, they save the world from villains plotting to destroy Earth. But in the ordinary world, they disguise themselves as real estate agents. That morning, as Will prepares for school, his parents are beaming with pride, assuming their son has inherited both or either one of their incredible abilities. However, there is one major problem. Will hasn't developed any powers at all. He's powerless, and the pressure of living up to the Stronghold legacy is weighing heavily on his shoulders. He even pretends to lift heavy weights so his dad will think he has super strength. His dad looks impressed and tells him to go easy on the other kids in school. Since he supposedly has incredible strength, he's indestructible, but in truth, he has no super strength at all. Thinking he's super strong, his dad throws a weight plate at him. Will struggles to catch it with both hands. But since his dad is filled with pride, he doesn't notice the stress on his face. A few moments later, Will's best friend Layla stops by so they can go to school together. Layla is a pacifist who has the ability to control plants with her mind. Before heading out to school, the Commander and Jetstream get a phone call to fight a giant robotic villain destroying the city. Immediately, they took off. Will and Layla stayed back home to watch it on TV. On the news, Will sees his parents as a duo fighting crime. With just one punch, his dad destroys the entire robot in a second. Will looks totally unhappy about it because he has no powers, no super strength, and he can't fly either. Together, Will and Layla walk to the bus stop where they meet the school bus driver, Ron Wilson, an enthusiastic man who takes great pride in driving the special bus. Inside the bus, Ron quickly tells the other kids that Will is the son of the famous Commander and Jetstream. Now, the entire bus knows who he is. Will finds a seat and begins to make new friends while they head to school. Suddenly, they drive into a dead end, but the bus begins to transform, sprouting wings and jet engines. It takes off into the sky, soaring high above the clouds until it reaches a massive floating campus, Sky High, the school for kids with superpowers. Ron uses the opportunity to show off, telling the kids he's the only one with the special ability to locate the school. As soon as they arrive, Ron gives Will his business card, telling Will to give him a call anytime there's trouble. On campus, other students begin to show their unique abilities, but Will feels shy and nervous because he has no powers. Immediately, the group of freshmen bump into Lash and Speed. Lash is super stretchy, and Speed is a speedster. Together, they team up to bully kids who have no powers to fight back. But then Gwen, a popular senior student, shows up to stop the bullies. She's a technopath, meaning she can control technology with her mind. Will looks completely lost in her beauty and begins to watch her lips as she speaks. She tells the freshmen everything they need to know about their first day on campus and the power placement exercise that awaits them. But Will can't hear anything. He's completely lost looking at Gwen and didn't hear a single thing she just said. Inside the school, the freshmen meet the school principal. She welcomes them into the school session, cheering them on as super-abled kids. After a while, the freshmen are gathered in the school gym for power placement, a brutal tradition led by Coach Boomer, who can create high supersonic energy blasts with his voice. Boomer stands at the front of the room and forces each student to demonstrate their powers in front of everyone. Depending on how useful their powers are, he will assign them to their respective classes. Those with impressive, combat-ready abilities will be labeled heroes, while those with less useful or non-combative powers will be relegated to the status of hero support, otherwise known as sidekicks. The tension rises for Will as each student approaches the stage. The first boy climbed up, and his small body transformed into a massive breathing statue. For a quick test, a car is dropped down from above, but he catches it. Since he's strong, Boomer immediately sends him to the hero class. Another kid climbs up, saying he can glow, but only in the dark. Boomer doesn't believe him since he's not glowing at all. Without hesitation, he sends him to the Sidekick class. Another kid shows up and turns into a puddle of multicolor liquid and is immediately called a Sidekick. One kid shows up and spits on the wall, saying his superpower is Super Spit. Coach Boomer is unimpressed at first, but as soon as the spit destroys the wall, he sends the kid to the hero class with excitement. Next, a girl climbs up saying she can shapeshift, but only into a rabbit. Immediately, she's sent to the Sidekick class. However, when another kid shows up and shapeshifts into the coach himself, the coach feels impressed and sends him to the hero class immediately. Seeing this, Layla begins to speak up and tells the coach she doesn't support the power placement program because she believes all super-abled kids are one, no matter what power they possess. She believes there are neither heroes nor sidekicks, just super-abled kids. Upon hearing her statement, Coach Boomer got furious and immediately labeled her a sidekick. With that, he gives the entire freshman class a brief break from the power placement exercise. During the lunch break, Will notices he's being watched closely by a mysterious guy. His friends recognize him as Warren Peace, the son of a supervillain whom Will's father put in jail for life. Clearly, he holds a grudge against the Stronghold name, and Will is completely frightened by him. Trying to escape his new archenemy, Will bumps into Gwen. Will begins to act weird again, but Gwen is very nice and invites him to hang out sometime later. Without thinking twice, Will accepts the proposal, and then she walks away. Just after that, he turns and sees the same mysterious guy right in his face, staring at him. Will is shocked and runs off immediately. After the break, Will finally steps up to the center stage. He whispers to Coach Boomer, saying he has no powers. Out of shock, Boomer screams out loud, "What do you mean you have no powers?" Will looks confused and embarrassed, but Boomer says he doesn't believe him. Thinking Will might have inherited super strength like his father, Boomer sends a car falling towards Will, but Will couldn't catch it. Instead, he goes down below the car completely scared, screaming that Boomer wants to take away his life. Thinking he might possess the ability to fly like his mother, Boomer throws him off the center stage, but Will hits the floor crying for help. Looking unimpressed and disappointed, Boomer screams, "Sidekick," and sends Will to join the basement-dwelling hero support class. After the brutal power placement scenario, Will goes to the school infirmary to get some treatment. He meets the school nurse, an old lady with the ability to see through anything like an X-ray scanner. She scans his body and finds no wounds. Will gets emotional about his first day and tells the lady about his powers not showing up. She explains to Will that people bitten by radioactive insects might either get superpowers or just die from it. While most kids at Sky High have only one superhero parent and still inherit superpowers, it is a very rare case for kids like Will, with two superhero parents, to end up with no powers at all. Out of curiosity, Will asks the lady if she knows anyone who falls into that category. Immediately, she points at the bus driver, Ron Wilson. His parents are both superheroes, but he inherited no superpowers. With that, Will starts to feel like all hope is lost forever, as if he'll never get any powers now. Sad and hopeless, Will heads home after school feeling powerless. His dad, the commander, is cleaning the head of the giant robot he took down in the morning, while his mom, Jetstream, prepares the dinner table. Seeing Will, they both get excited about his first day at Sky High, but Will doesn't look excited at all. Will tells his dad he wants to talk, but his dad thinks it's a heroic conversation, so he tells Will he knows the best spot for that. He shows Will the secret passage to the basement, which he calls the Secret Sanctum. Will looks completely surprised because his parents had always kept this a secret from him. His dad tells him he has already added his biometrics to the Secret Sanctum. Just before Will goes in, his dad makes him promise that he will never bring another soul into the Secret Sanctum. It's a Stronghold legacy. So, Will makes the promise, and they both go down to the basement together. Will looks astonished by the view as his dad shows him around. He tells Will that after every successful battle against a villain, they take a souvenir for a trophy and store it in the Secret Sanctum. He tells Will everything about their family legacy and how happy he is that Will is about to team up with Daddy and Mommy as an indestructible trio fighting crime together. He pulls out a name tag that reads Will Stronghold. After that, he turns to Will and asks, "What was it you wanted to talk about?" Seeing that this is a proud moment for his dad, Will decides not to tell him. Instead, he tells him he only wants to play a game of pool together, and immediately, they both pick up a stick to play. Meanwhile, the head of the giant robot is still alive and unbeknown to the heroes. Its red eye is a camera that has been recording everything the entire time. The villain watches cautiously, plotting something evil. Afterwards, Will climbs up to the roof and sits for a moment. His best friend Layla uses her powers to grow a tree and effortlessly joins Will on the rooftop. She wants to know if Will told his parents the truth about his powers. Will says he couldn't do it. He tells her about the Secret Sanctum and how happy his dad was to show him around, so he never said a word about his powers. She tries to comfort Will and gives him an apple using her powers. Will takes it, saying she has an awesome power while he has nothing. However, she tells Will that everything is going to be all right. Sooner or later, his powers will manifest itself. The next day at school, Will joins the Sidekick class, where he meets a group of eccentric freshman outcasts. Their teacher is Mr. Boy, who tries to instill pride in them despite their lowly status. He explains that after graduation, each sidekick will be assigned to a hero, and they will select a costume and a superhero name together. On his graduation day, he was teamed up with the commander, and together they fought crimes. Realizing this, Will tells him his dad never mentioned him as his sidekick, nor did his mom. Mr. Boy immediately feels sad and tells the kids about the beauty of being being a sidekick. Suddenly, a lightning strike hits the building, tripping the lights. A few moments later, another teacher shows up, Mr. Medulla, who has a giant brain, but he teaches the hero class. He tells them to stay calm because it is only a brief anomaly. Suddenly, Mr. Boy falls down from clinging to a pipe just above the class, and the entire class bursts into laughter. After the jokes, Mr. Boy teaches them Hero Support 101, and they all have a good time. After school, Will takes his friends home to finish their homework together. Suddenly, his dad comes home dressed in his superhero suit. Will immediately introduces his dad to his group of sidekicks. They all describe their powers respectively. He is impressed by some and unimpressed by others. Shortly after, the commander goes into the kitchen, and Will joins him. His father thinks he's trying to select a sidekick to fight beside him, but Will tells him they are all his friends because he is actually in the sidekick class. Hearing this, his dad gets furious and tries to call Coach Boomer immediately, but since he is too strong, he crushed the phone like it is nothing and then opened a cabinet to grab another, nearly destroying the kitchen with his rage. Will tries to calm him down, but he insists he is going to Sky High the next day to have a word with the principal. Hearing this, Will has no other choice but to say the truth. He doesn't have any powers yet, which is why he is in the sidekick class instead of the hero class. His dad looks surprised to hear that, asking, "Why didn't you tell me before?" Will replies, "I didn't want you to think I'm a failure, Dad." With that, the commander tells Will to go easy on himself, saying that somehow, sooner or later, his powers will show up. Either he will be able to fly like his mom, or he will inherit his super strength. Hearing this, Will feels relieved and goes back to finish his homework with his friends. The following day in school, the rivalry between Will and War and Peace reaches a breaking point. In the cafeteria, Lash uses his stretchy arms to trip Will. Will falls to the floor, throwing his lunch all over Warren. Immediately, a massive fight breaks out. Warren gets angry and starts throwing fireballs at Will. Will is forced to run for his life and hide while the entire school watches. Warren didn't hold back at all. He wants to burn Will to the ground. He goes right to the table where Will is hiding, waiting for him to come out. But just as he was about to attack Will's friends, Will's powers finally kicked in to defend them. He picked up the cafeteria table and tossed it like a frisbee. He sends Peace flying away, destroying the school wall. Shortly, the fight is broken up and both boys are sent to detention. Inside the detention room, the school principal tells them their powers won't work there, so they must learn never to use their powers destructively. Will tries to call a truce, saying, "Whatever happened between our dads has nothing to do with us." But Warren replies, "If you ever cross my path again, I'll burn you alive." After school, Will heads home excited to tell his parents about his powers. Inside the house, he picks up his mother, saying, "I am super strong," but she is not excited. In fact, they both look grumpy and disappointed. They tell Will the school principal reported the fight, then instructed him to never use his powers for evil, but to always use it for good. Angrily, his dad calls him into the Secret Sanctum. Will feels like he's in huge trouble now, but as soon as they go down to the sanctum, his dad gets excited and tells him he's happy he inherited his powers and not his mother's. Will is surprised and asks if he's not mad about the fight at school. His father explains that he could never be mad because his son has inherited his super strength. They both start to show off their strength, hugging each other strongly enough to break their own bones. This is the moment his dad has always waited for. At the same time, the robot's head records everything, and the villain keeps track of the progress at the Stronghold basement, plotting secretly from afar. The next day at school, Will is promoted to the hero class. He feels sad leaving his friends behind, but they encourage him, saying, "It's all right, Will. We're still friends." In the hero class, he sees Mr. Medulla, who pairs Will with the class president, Gwen. She helps Will with the classwork, using her powers to fix a piece of technological equipment effortlessly. After that, Gwen tells him she wants to help him with his homework too, and so they became friends. That day during lunch break, Will invited his friends to the lunch table where he sits with Gwen and the other heroes, but immediately the seats are occupied by a girl who can multiply herself, saying, "Heroes don't hang around losers." Will feels bad and confronts Layla after lunch to apologize. Luckily for him, she accepts his apology, and they both agree to go on a date later that evening. At the same moment, Will's sidekick friends call for help. Lash and Speed are at it again, bullying the weak, but Will showed up and they immediately freed his friends.
Not so tough when my boys around, are you?
If Will beat you and save the citizen, you lay off of sidekicks for the rest of the year.
Yeah, and if he loses, you can dunk it inside the toilet every day till graduation.
Yeah! Huh?
It was at this moment that he knew. He f***ed up.
Got yourself a deal.
Save the Citizen, a 3-minute game where 2 players team up as heroes and the other 2 as villains. The heroes are tasked with saving a dummy citizen before it gets chopped into pieces by a metal-crushing machine, while the villains try to stop them. For the game, Lash and Speed pick Will and War and Peace to team up as heroes while they play as villains. The game begins, and the villains take on Will and Warren immediately. After taking hits, Will shows off his super strength by punching the floor, causing Lash and Speed to fall. Immediately, Will picks up Lash and ties him to a pole. The entire school laughed. At the same time, Warren battles Speed, but he's too fast. Speed starts to run around Warren in circles. In doing so, Warren loses oxygen, and since he can't breathe, he can't create fireballs at all. As Warren starts suffocating, Will decides to save him first. He runs and grabs Speed for a short moment, then releases him. Uncontrollably, Speed dashes towards Lash, and they both crash. Just before the timer runs out, Will grabs Warren and throws him at the mannequin. Warren saved the citizen, and they both won an entertaining game. Will tries to help Warren get back up, but he ignores him. The crowd goes berserk, and Will becomes even more popular at Sky High for using his super strength. Back at home, his dad is excited that he won the Save the Citizen game as a freshman, but then he sees Gwen with his mom. She tells the commander and Jetstream she wants to invite them as special guests to the school's homecoming dance. They accept without hesitation, but Will looks completely surprised because he wasn't expecting Gwen to show up at his house. His parents both look at him in a strange way, but Gwen says she's only there to help Will with homework. In the middle of the awkwardness, his parents insist she stays for dinner. They all have dinner together, and then spend some time going through a school magazine of past students. His parents show Will and Gwen their schoolmates from when they attended Sky High decades ago. There was one girl, Sue Tenney, who went missing and was never found. Meanwhile, Layla waits at the Chinese restaurant for Will to show up. She bumps into Warren Peace, who works at the restaurant. Warren tells Layla about his dad and how he wants to use his powers for good. He tells Layla he knows exactly how she feels about Will, advising her to confront Will about her true feelings. With that, they became friends. At the same time, Will is walking Gwen home. He asked Gwen to be his homecoming date, and she accepted. After a while, they arrive at Gwen's house, and her dad comes out shortly before they could do anything.
You're not that boy with the 6 arms, are you?
No, sir. Just 2.
We'll keep them to yourself.
Yes, sir.
Will looked completely confused for a moment, but as soon as he is about to leave, Gwen rushes out, kisses him on the cheek, and runs back inside. Immediately, a rush of adrenaline hits Will, and he jumps up, high enough that he is flying uncontrollably. So he quickly grabbed the nearest streetlight to bring himself down. Does he have the ability to fly like his mom? Will doesn't know yet, so he runs back home stunned by what just happened. The very next day, Will apologizes to Layla for not showing up the previous night, but he ruins the moment when he tells her his homecoming date is Gwen. To make Will jealous, she tells him her homecoming date is Warren Peace. During school hours, Will hangs out with Gwen, while Layla pretends to hang out with Warren. Will is jealous, but since he is always around Gwen, the feeling fades quickly. On the other hand, Gwen takes a special interest in Will, asking him to help her with a committee for the upcoming homecoming dance. As the homecoming dance approaches, Gwen convinces Will to host a party at his house while his parents are away receiving a Hero of the Year award. Will invites everyone, but the party quickly gets out of control as everyone starts to show off their superpowers. Will thinks it's inappropriate to do all that inside his house, but they ignore him anyway. Since Will is frustrated by their misconduct, Gwen uses the opportunity to lure him into the Secret Sanctum, his father's private trophy room. While Will is distracted by a kiss, she manages to steal a mysterious device called the pacifier, a weapon from the commander's past that was thought to be deactivated after he defeated a certain villain. Later that same night, Layla shows up at the party, hoping to talk to Will about her feelings, but she can't seem to either find him or reach out to him. Instead, Gwen appears telling her that Will doesn't love her and that he's too scared to tell her how uninterested he feels. Layla feels heartbroken, but just as she is about to leave, Will shows up. Layla ignores him for a moment, but before exiting the door, she says, "Have fun with Gwen." Will runs back to Gwen and asks, "What did you say to Layla?" She replies, "Nothing but the truth. I told her heroes don't hang out with sidekicks." This made Will completely furious, so he broke up with Gwen. Just after their breakup conversation, his parents showed up and immediately told everyone to leave at once. All the kids exit the house immediately, almost as if there's an explosion about to go off inside the building. Will explains to his parents that the house party was never his idea, and tells them he won't go to the school's homecoming dance with them either. They tried to change his mind since they are now guests of honor, but Will insists on not going. The night of the homecoming dance arrives, and Layla shows up with Warren, but Will is nowhere to be found. He is at home, sitting alone in the Secret Sanctum. His mother, Jetstream, comes down looking for him, but Will is no longer interested in the dance. Before leaving, she hands Will a 1978 Sky High yearbook, so his dad doesn't take it with him. After a short moment, Will sits and glances through the book, and he notices something very strange. The rumored missing student his parents mentioned, Sue Tenney, looks exactly like Gwen. On another page, he sees her holding the pacifier. Immediately, he looks at the spot where his dad keeps his trophies, but he can't find the pacifier either. With this, Will realizes that he has been used. He immediately calls the school bus driver, Ron Wilson, to drive him to Sky High. Meanwhile, at Sky High, Will's parents, the commander and Jetstream, arrive at the homecoming dance. Gwen puts them in the spotlight as the guests of honor just before she reveals her true identity. Gwen is actually a villain from the past, known as Royal Pain. Years ago, the commander and Jetstream defeated Royal Pain, but the villain was turned into a baby by the pacifier, and raised in secret by a smiggle-looking sidekick, waiting for the perfect moment to take revenge on the heroes of Sky High. Immediately, Gwen uses the pacifier to turn the faculty and the popular heroes into babies. Her friends block the exit, but the freshman sidekicks and War and Peace all escape through a vent. The school is thrown into absolute chaos as babies in superhero costumes cry and crawl around the ballroom. At the same time, Will arrives at Sky High, all thanks to Ron Wilson. He rushes inside the school where he finds Layla and his sidekick friends, the only ones left to save the day. He tries to tell them the truth about Gwen, but they already know that now. Layla tells him Gwen turned his parents into infants just before they managed to escape the dance hall. Will goes looking for them and finds Gwen just outside the school, plotting to escape Sky High with the heroes she pacified. She plans to raise them into an army of supervillains, but Will cannot allow that, so they start fighting, from lovers to enemies real quick. Will uses his super strength, but her suit is entirely tech-based, making her virtually indestructible and a match for Will's power. At the same time, the sidekicks take down Gwen's henchmen one by one, each using their superpowers to win a series of 1v1 fights. Layla finally uses her powers to fight, strangling Sue and all of her multiples. Seeing that she is unable to move, Sue tells Layla about the anti-gravity system that's causing the school to float in the sky, and that Gwen plans to disrupt it in 10 minutes. Hearing this, Layla informs the rest of the sidekicks, but the space is much too tiny for any human to enter. So, Magenta transforms into a small rabbit to chew through the wires and stop the school from falling, but she can't seem to find the exact wire to bite. Layla and Warren rush out to help Will take down Gwen, but as soon as they arrive, Gwen throws Will off the edge of the floating campus. They all think Will is dead, but as he falls toward the earth, he finally unlocks his second power, flight. He soars back up and knocks Gwen out for a moment. Meanwhile, on the school's outskirts, Ron Wilson, the bus driver, intercepts Gwen's smiggle-looking sidekick, who is just about to transport the pacified superheroes on the school bus. At the same time, Gwen uses the little strength she has left to deactivate the anti-gravity system, causing the school to fall from the sky. With the help of the others, Magenta finally finds the right wire and begins to chew as fast as she can. Will flies down to catch the school from falling, but it's extremely difficult. Just before the school hits the ground, Magenta cuts the disruption wire, and immediately the anti-gravity system is back online. Will catches the school just in time to avoid a catastrophic impact of innocent lives. Then he flies back up into the sky like Superman and the Viltrumites do, carrying thousands of acres like it's nothing. Will and his group of sidekick friends save the day. They defeated Gwen and her henchmen, locking them in a cell that nullifies their superpowers. Using the pacifier, they turned everyone back to their rightful ages. Will apologizes to his parents, but they totally understand that the entire thing was a trap planned by Royal Pain. Shortly after, Mr. Boy presents the award meant for Will's parents, but they both agree to give it to the group of sidekicks who helped save the school, calling them true heroes. Since everything is back to normal, the homecoming dance resumes and the pacifier is destroyed. The division between heroes and sidekicks is abolished. Will and Layla finally confess their feelings for one another and share a kiss, floating high in the sky. In the end, Will's girlfriend Gwen becomes his archenemy. His archenemy Warren becomes his best friend, and his best friend Layla becomes his girlfriend. So, what do you think about this movie? Drop your comments down below. Also, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more interesting stories like this one. I hope you enjoyed this recap. See you in the next video. Thanks for watching. The Entertainment Buff.